Edward Starcraft, and I gave him a big hug. And he's like, I'm not Edward, and I was like, oh, and so I just left because I felt so bad. So,
I
anyways,
can see that entire thing going down. Hoppin's actually a really cool guy once you get to know him.
he's great, and I felt like a total jerk because that was basically the first conversation I'd ever had with him. But anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about.
Indeed.
We were talking about Terran versus Zerg, and
Quick.
Terrans are having a tough time right now because you can't just kind of rely on the Marine to get you through games anymore. Not, and I don't mean that to sound bad, but I mean that's kind of the fact of the matter. In recent history, the Marine has been making up the brunt of the Terran army. And with this new infestor change, there are certainly some timings where your bio ball can be really effective. But once that layer tech really kicks in and infestors start hitting the map, you got to change it up. So what have you been doing as a top Terran player to mix it up and to I guess accommodate for the infestor?
I have been increasing, like I said earlier, my factory unit count by quite a bit because infestors don't really cut the cheese against a huge, like a really big ball of siege tanks. And then the key is like not spreading your siege tanks out because a lot of times against Zerg, right, you'll make this kind of like field
Mm-hmm.
of siege tanks and you'll spread them all out so that they can cover each other, but they're not too close that they can get surrounded by lings and swarmed and that kind of thing. So what you want to do now is instead of spread your tanks out so much, you kind of want to keep them in a ball because Zerg players are using so many infestors that it's gotten to the point where now they can just neural parasite 8 to 10 tanks if they
Yeah.
have that many infestors. So if you keep all your tanks together and you control fire the infestors, you can kill a ton of
Yeah,
infestors.
they die
Very,
fast. It's what, two
yeah,
volleys to kill an infestor, maybe three.
yeah, 2 volleys. So you just got to shift right click all the infestors at the beginning of the fight and just blast them out, and then hope that your Thors and Hellions and whichever tanks you don't have selected are able to cover you for the fight. But you have to be really careful with a build like this because like obviously your push timing is going to come much later, and there's this window of unsuredness where he is possibly teching to broodlords and he could be skimping on army, and that's where you want to catch him. You want to catch him right when he's trying to make that transition into broodlords, and you want to push and kill either his third or his fourth or both.
Right,
You
right,
just want to
right.
do as much damage as you can before the mustache lords get out. Blowing everything up.
The mustache lords. All right.
That's what they look like, man. They're just big flying mustaches.
I always thought they just looked like super huge drones, but
Manta rays.
all right. And then the Broodlords hit the field, and everybody knows that you got to be rocking the Vikings for that, right?
Absolutely. So then it switches into kind of like a old school Terran versus Terran kind of tank Viking sort of deal,
Yep.
which is super hard to manage because Vikings and tanks are both like very good at what they do,
Hmm.
but they have very specific roles and they're difficult to cover.
Yeah.
So it's like you're using two very specific unit types to counter very specific things, and you have to be really
You
careful.
do have to be careful because those infestors are still an issue. Three fungals will kill every one of your Vikings, and it's a dance. It really is a dance. And I don't know. I think I like kind of the direction the matchup is moving. I don't know if I feel like it's in the perfect place yet. Um,
Mm.
but hey, that's the game is developing. Now, how do you feel about ghosts? I keep feeling
I
like. Go ahead, please.
I am definitely going to start incorporating ghosts a whole lot more because in every matchup, Terran, you need mineral dumps. You're always super gas starved. And that's like the biggest issue with Terran. And by reducing the gas cost of ghosts just by 50 makes a really big difference. I mean, there's still 300 overall, right? 200,
Yep,
100, but
200, 100 is the change.
it's such a big deal. Ghosts are going to be, to me, so much less valuable as a gas unit, especially as you build more of them. Having like 8 ghosts at their current cost as opposed to the previous cost is a big difference on gas, and it makes them less valuable. I feel like, which is a good thing because they essentially cost the same and they have the same abilities. They're just less expensive in my eyes. So I'm definitely going to be using ghosts a whole lot more against Zerg and Against Protoss, I already used them, but
Yeah.
I'm going to be using them earlier, and I'm going to be using them more.
Yeah. I think honestly, I've been playing Infestors since before the patch. I've always really liked that unit. Um,
Yeah, I don't know why, like Zergs all of a sudden are just like, holy shit! Like we have infestors, they're amazing, but
these
they're
things are pretty good. Like I mean, they don't really do any more damage now. They just do it faster, which is a buff, certainly. But now everybody's making them. But I gotta say, man, Ghosts they shred shit, dude. I had a guy go mass Ghost like or sorry, like what am I trying to say? A Ghost mech, and and he was just sniping my Broodlords. He'd cloak them and he'd run up and snipe the shit out of them, and they just
yep,
disintegrated.
it's
Um,
really good.
so I mean, I don't know if that's a style you've played around with a whole hell of a lot, but
I
it's
tried it at MLG and I got my ass handed to me. But I did have about 15 ghosts, and I did kill a crap ton of broodlords and ultras with snipe, but it was. I feel like as Terran, you just can't. Well, it was on Shakuris, and I was playing against Vibe, and he has like 500 billion APM,
yeah,
and
he's fucking fast.
yeah, he's real good, man. I didn't even know about him before MLG. I was just like, who's this guy coming up from the winner's bracket? What is this? Get out. So I go into the game thinking I've got it on lock, right? And then this guy just shows me a completely new style of TvZ. He's got Nidus worms popping up all over my bases. There's shit running everywhere, scrambling to stay alive. But I tried the mass ghost play because he was using all these huge expensive units. He was using ultras and broodlords and kept sending them to different locations.
Yeah.
So if I could keep a pack of ghosts alive and just keep reusing their energy to kill super expensive units, I was going to be super chilling in the ultra late game. And we were both sitting on 4 base. Um, and eventually I ran out of energy and I got overrun because I had all these super expensive ghosts and I was
Yeah.
sinking my all my gas into my ghosts. And eventually I just got overrun because I couldn't afford the factory backbone that I really
Yeah.
needed.
Well, I think you mentioned something that's kind of pertinent. You said you were sitting in the super late game and you felt like if you could keep spreading them out that you could win at that point.
Mm.
Um, Now I keep having Terran players tell me that late game Terran can't keep up with Zerg because Zerg tier 3 is just too good. How do you feel about that?
I mean, hmm, you can certainly keep up with them, but you have to do a lot of damage at a couple points during the game, and I mean a lot. Like you need to either kill a hatch or kill a ton of drones with blue flame hellions, and by kill a hatch, I mean you need to launch a timing push at some point in the game, and you need to kill one of his expansions. And if he cleans up your attack and re-expands, that's fine, but at least you're setting him back by enough of a timing window that when it gets to the lake, the issue that I think people are describing to you, and the issue that I run into a lot is that um, in the ultra late game against Zerg, it's like they're able to take their uh, third, fourth, and fifth
Yeah.
so much faster than you, and they can just start this trust fund and just hang out, and then when necessary, they can make this huge transition to ultras and broodlords because they're using essentially infestors and lings to control the map, stop all your pushes,
Hmm.
and that's not a relatively pricey unit composition right there. I mean, the
No.
infestors cost a lot of gas, but I mean they're stockpiling a lot of money,
Yeah.
especially if you're not forcing them to build a ton of units. So it's like when you get into the late game, they just completely overrun you with this giant Broodlord tech switch, and they have like 10 of them and 15 corruptors and infestors on the ground. And it's like, even if you're maxed, you literally have to have the perfect unit composition to deal with that, or you're just going to get run over.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely see it as a struggle. I mean, I've beaten. I think Terran versus or Zerg versus Terran right now is probably the easiest matchup for me. I've beaten players that are much who I feel are much better than me, just because I play that slow, patient style, which is a little bit maybe abusive, but which is also super effective. Um, but I feel like we've been talking for a long time. I would like to go ahead and jump in a game and just kind of get inside your head a little bit. So if you're down with it, I'm going to host a map, and I had a Zerg player online ready to go, and he's gone offline and fallen off the grid. So let me see if I can muster up somebody real fast to play against you. And I'm just going to go ahead and host on. We'll play Metalopolis to start with.
Alrighty.
I have to figure out where all the Zerks have gone. Oh wait, let's try old Limonade. And oh, Limonade. This guy cracks me up. I said, "Yo, come play Painuser," and he said, "You mean come pwn Painuser?"
Sup?
All right. Okay, cool. So this is how this is gonna go down. You're gonna do your thing. I'm gonna just be asking you questions and trying to get inside your head. We're gonna be talking about everything from your opening build order to the decisions you make through the mid game. And if at any point I'm asking you questions at times that are just kind of you're trying to focus on other things, just tell me to shut the hell up, and I'll let you do your thing. And then we'll kind of come back to it when you feel like it opens up. The whole goal here today is to just kind of understand, high level Terran strategy and decision making. So that's what we're going to try to do. And I know it's kind of hard to talk and play at the same time, but we're gonna work through it and hopefully.
I'm super used to it, man.
Awesome.
You're not the first person to pick my brain during it. Well, actually, this is the first TvZ I've had somebody grill me on, but usually it's TVP. Everybody's always interested about TVP.
Well, we'll probably get a chance to talk about that later in the week. So here's to hoping. Would you do me a favor and pick a color other than yellow, because yellow
Yeah, no
and orange
problem.
are so damn close. And when you're ready, we'll fire it up.
All right, I'm good to go.
All right.
Was this guy good? I have no idea.
I didn't check his profile. He was probably about 3.9 4K masters before the reset. I don't know if he made
Okay.
a GM or not. So he's good. If you make mistakes, if you give him opportunities, he'll beat you. But I don't think he's a professional caliber player.
All right, trying to gauge what level of Super Saiyan mode I have to go into.
I don't know, man. You might have to bust out the Spirit Bomb for this one.
Put my leg down, sit up straight. I am the laziest StarCraft player ever, for the record, but I have this little ceremony before super big matches to get myself all focused and good posture and just got to run yourself through a little routine every time you have a important match. Otherwise, you certainly can't be in lounge mode for an important game.
I hear you.
Just doesn't work.
Players like you make me so mad because I fucking work my ass off at this game and I'm still terrible. So.
Well, eventually, hard work will always beat talent that doesn't work hard. So it's just a matter of time.
Just a matter of
I've
time.
learned that the hard way.
At this rate, I only need 5 more years.
Well, it also depends on when you got started, right? Like, I've been
Yeah.
playing RTSs since I was in diapers.
Oh, there you go.
But I really wish I had picked up, Brood War at a competitive level. That would have made such a big difference, my goodness. Super jealous of guys like Kawhi Rice and Root Kitty, or actually no, he left. He's Six Jacks Terran now, but then he remade that, and now he's Six Jacks Major. Juan, the Hispanic kid, that's a really, really good.
Yeah, I catch him playing. I watch Vibes stream, and they practice together a lot.
Yeah, he's real good.
I think Livelate's trying to. Oh man. Yeah, he's sick.
I think I've played this guy before, way back in. Has he been playing since early beta?
Yeah, he's kind of a character. He'll say weird things, and none of it makes sense. Just try to ignore him.
I definitely think I've played him before.
All right, so let's talk about your opening a little bit. You've gone 1 Rax gas. This tells me that you probably want to open up with some Hellions, do some harassment, and add factories and push around 9-10 minutes. Is it okay for me to make that much of a read off of what I've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Really all I'm going to do is try and get some early Blue Flame Hellions and just expand immediately after, and the only reason I'm doing that is just to be 100% safe to any kind of Baneling bust or anything like that. I find that getting the really early Blue Flame out just helps with something like a Baneling bust so much. They're just great against large numbers of lings.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Now I don't
And you
know.
can kite the main lings without speed, which
Yeah,
is really nice too.
I don't know how much time you spend practicing or talking to Chef